Cast here. Let me jump on the video so that I can check your comments here as well. So what's happening is that just like what we've seen over the last 4 to 5 days, we've had this tropical moisture that's just getting sucked up from the Gulf, and it's coming in from the deep Gulf, and that's why we're seeing some of the heavier amounts that we're getting out there now. And I expect to see a good chunk of those as well. So let's see, make sure you get all your comments. Bear with me here. There's everybody. Okay, great. All right, so if you can hear me, make sure that everybody, if you can hear me out there, give me an emojis, thumbs up, just to make sure we're using one of our new apps that we have here that will cross-pollinate this, not only on our Facebook page, but of course on clicktohouston.com to our app. If you have that, you'll notice a little notification will pop up on that. So wherever you're watching us, thanks for watching. I appreciate that. So let's go to the radar. Let's take a peek at what's happening out there. It has been super sloppy today. In fact, the rainfall rates we've had today are anywhere around 1 to 2 inches in less than an hour. 2 inches per hour is enough to get the street flooding going. And in fact, that's what we've been seeing in some of the feeder roads. If you've lived here long enough, you know those feeder roads will flood real quick. So just be careful out there. So jump over here. We'll get it a little tight on this as well. Good. Everybody can hear me. Fantastic. Thank you, Autumn. I appreciate that. So what's interesting, and I mentioned this as well at the 12 o'clock, Howard, is that these two arrows that I drew here, I last drew these on here about 4 days ago, right? So that'll give you an indication of just how sloppy it's been, and that there has been zero movement in this sort of like spigot of rain that's headed our way. And this is why it's been stuck right on top of us. So you see it just kind of keeps regenerating as you go south of the coast there and continue to move in, all right? Now, talking of that, let's go over to the big board and I'll show you what I mean by this, and we'll get a better idea of what we're seeing and what we're expecting over the next couple of hours. So unlike yesterday, when mostly what we saw was just kind of an annoyance rain, right? It was a nuisance. It was out there sloppy all day. It only led to about a half an inch to an inch of rain total, right? So even though it was kind of a mess, it was okay. Problem today is that some of these heavier spots out here are dropping close to 2 inches per hour. And as I mentioned, that's enough to get the street flooding going. And I think that's what we're likely going to be dealing with in some spots as we head in towards this afternoon. So let's jump a little tighter on this and get an idea. So if you're over on the east side, this is my neighborhood over in East End here. We're getting hammered. And in fact, there's still pretty good amount of lightning strikes with that as well. So you see these really dark red spots, basically from Channelview, Jacinto City working its way up towards the North Loop and the North Beltway here, northeast side of the Beltway. All of that is probably close to 1.5 inches to 2 inches per hour. And this is kind of that blinding rain if you're trying to drive through this. It's just not fun. We're getting a bit of a break here in Southwest. I just actually ran out to my car to grab some coffee a second ago, and we're finally seeing a little bit of a break. The Southwest Freeway is in better condition than what we've been seeing. But basically from Kingwood all the way up the East Tex here to Roman Forest, and even out towards Porter Heights as you get out that way, it's just super sloppy out there, and that's going to be the case. Oh no, looks like we just took a power hit. Let's go back over to the computer then, shall we? Live Facebook.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. Yeah, the whole thing just recycled. So if anybody's asking to say, oh gosh, what happens? Look at this. Come here. Our video wall just got knocked out. Same thing here as you're looking towards our cameras. This is what we look at sometimes, right? And usually this will show either what the camera sees or what we see on the programming on the air, and it's all knocked out right now. So we'll go back over here. So come with me. Okay. Rachel says drink every time I say sloppy. You're gonna be taking a nap real quick then. Go down towards the south side. This is part of the problem, is that you've got these storms. You see some of this heavy rain. It just kind of keeps and it's training. What we mean by that is that it's popping in the exact same location, just to the south of, let's say, Seaside, Surfside Beach there, and it's going all the way up in towards the 288 corridor. So these are the problem spots out here that we're running into, and this is why I think we're going to have to continue to watch for street flooding, because we're going to see more of this as we go throughout the day today, and this is the heavier stuff than what we saw yesterday. Now, and in fact, because of all that heavy rain, we've got a couple of aerial flood advisories. Let me tighten that up a little bit so you get an idea of exactly where that is. So notice that's right across the 288 corridor. So that's all the folks in Pearland and right outside of Alvin as well. And in fact, they just issued this flash flood warning, just issued for all of Houston at this point. I'm not shocked that they put that out there. That's until 3:45, and that is because of those heavy rainfall rates I just talked about that are starting to push on through. So my guess is that we're seeing some, when they do a flash flood warning, it's kind of like, instead of a flood watch, which is basically if you have a cupcake, you have all the ingredients for it, but it's not put together. A warning, a flash flood warning, means that that flood cupcake is all together. So we are probably seeing some ongoing street flooding concerns. In fact, let's jump over to the chat here and let's see what we've got. My guess is that somebody has probably seen some flooding somewhere. Let's go to text data, indicating, here we go. Heavy rain across the warned area between 1 to 4 inches has already fallen. Flash flooding is ongoing or expected to begin shortly. That's part of the problem, is that we're seeing in any of these areas that have seen about 1 to 4 inches, and let's say you dump another 2 to 4 onto that, well, that's up to 6 to 8 at this point, right? And that is enough to do some damage in the city here. So I want to show you, let's jump a little down towards our bayou. I want to show you this great graphic, this new series of graphics that we have. We have a partnership with Harris County Flood Control District, and it gives us real-time information, or near real-time information anyway, on all of the bayous and streams across the greater Houston area. And so all of the green means that the statuses are okay on the streams and the creeks and the bayous, but notice we're starting to see some yellows pop up down around Sugarland. Oh, this is Carpenter's Bayou, and then same thing up at the East Fork of the Sandjacks. So if we jump in a little tighter on this, some of these spots, they're not necessarily flooding, but it's getting close. South Maid Creek at Greenhouse, that one floods all the time. We're going to have to watch that real closely. Cypress Creek at Sharps Road, and then Cane Island. If you live out towards Clay Road and Cane Island, you know that's a trouble spot too. And then, of course, Carpenter's Bayou. I think we'll have to watch that. Let's take a live look at what's happening on the stream status for that there. And this is what it looks like. So notice it's still fairly low. It's below the flood level, which is good, but notice that the trend is rising, meaning that over the last hour or so, we're starting to see the water get higher and higher and higher. I don't know that it'll necessarily be a flood issue, but we're going to have to watch it very carefully as we get in towards this afternoon. Okay, so let's run the Futurecast, and then I'll give you an idea of what we've got. So none of our computer models are really initializing that well, which is unfortunate. But this is the closest one that we've got. Notice as we take this through the afternoon to about 2, 3 o'clock, it still has some of that heavy rain slowly pushing northward. Now, it thinks we're going to get a bit of a break to the south. I'm not necessarily buying this because you saw what I saw on the radar. There's still those storms that are sliding their way up from Lake Jackson up to 88. So I think by 4 o'clock, we're still going to be dealing with some heavy rain in the area. And then eventually by 6, 7 o'clock, that slowly starts to wind down as we lose the sun. You say, well, it's cloudy out there. How does that work? Even in cloudy skies, the sun heats the ground, right? And so it causes what we call a convective cycle, meaning that the warmer air rises, cooler air falls, and it's just like your oven at home. It does the same thing. And so that can create more thunderstorm effect in the afternoon. Just like yesterday, it was a little heavy, and then as we got to 8, 9 o'clock, what happened? All the rain kind of fell apart. I expect the exact same thing to happen today. We're not out of it yet, though. We've got another day of some heavy rain as we get in towards Tuesday. So let's go back to the radar here. And for those that are just joining us now, we'll do a quick run through of what we're seeing with everything. And then I will let you all do your thing and we'll answer some questions. So that flash flood warning is until 3:45. That does include parts of Harris County. If we jump a little tighter on this here, notice that that is much of downtown. And I think it's probably for the east side here. So basically from Hobby Airport up towards Jacinto City, sliding its way up north towards Kingwood. And then same story there as well, basically from Kingwood as you slide down the east side of the Beltway there, just outside of Crosby. And as you jump in a little tighter, we're talking about, Mount Houston, East Houston, Beaumont Place, Sheldon, all those areas if you're there. Oh, look, we got our big board back. That's nice. But we still have some pretty heavy rain that's pushing on through right around the U of H campus as well. Bush Airport, as I saw a bit ago, is got about, I believe it's close to an hour and a half delay just as this rain's moving through, and it's probably going to take them at least another 30 minutes to an hour for that to catch up. So that means if we've got a 2-hour delay on that, expect the afternoon flights to really get stacked up. So if you've got a flight to catch, check your airline, because my guess is they're probably going to put some delays, or if you're picking somebody up early this afternoon, same story. They probably are just sitting there circling right now waiting for the stuff to end. So it is going to take some time for that to happen. So as we mentioned, we've got some aerial flood advisories. We've got the flash flood warning out there as well. If you don't have to leave, bottom line is if you don't have to go anywhere, if you live over from Hobby over to the northeast side, if you do not have to get out, give it about an hour and let this stuff kind of cycle on through. And hopefully we'll get a bit of a break. It looks like this is going to continue to slide on that same road. So if you're over on the west side here, we haven't even talked about our friends out on the west side here. We're looking good so far from Bay City to El Campo. We've got some storms that are starting to bubble up there right outside of East Bernard, and that'll be pushing its way up towards Sealy, and then eventually up into, Waller County, across I-10 and 290. So we'll keep a watch on things for you here at the Weather Center, but best advice is if you don't have to go anywhere today, especially if you're on the east side or if you're downtown, just sit tight. I know if you're going to go out for lunch, you may want to you text your friends or text your business associates and say, let's push that back to tomorrow. It's not a good afternoon to be out on the roads, that's for sure. But we will keep you set here at the Weather Center as well. If we need to hop back on Facebook or on our app here, we'll certainly do that. I will see you on TV in probably about 10 minutes. And of course, Chief Meteorologist Frank Billingsley will be in this afternoon. He and I will be tag teaming the weather. So hopefully we'll get you safe. And I do believe that by tomorrow, that should be the last day of the real heavy stuff once that's out of here. We totally can take a break. We're going to get hot and sticky for the Memorial Day weekend. And then the mosquitoes come out. Get ready for that as well. All right. Thanks for joining me, guys. I appreciate it. If you've got any questions, comments, concerns, put them right here in the comments section, or you can certainly DM me in Facebook or on Twitter, Instagram as well. I'll try to keep everybody updated, and then I'll run through